bring that back out again, so just to give them a clear out. You've got a nice thread to start here. It starts easy back in the hole. Just go down a little bit further. I can see the end starting to break through, so yeah, and I'm getting less and less resistance, so I just carry on through until it bottoms in the hole there. I don't know whether the camera's going to pick that up, but yeah, that's broken through. Now these are the M2 grub screws. I've got a bag of them here. Right, let's seal the bag up. There he is, guys. I've got two. How about that? Two for the price of one. There we are. So that's got him on the end of the Allen screw. That's this is a 0.9. So 0.9 Allen screw. And he sits nicely on the end of the driver, which makes it easier to get it into the hole. So I'll just offer that in the hole a minute. Make sure you don't cross thread, but yeah, he's screwing in nicely. Again, it's very difficult to see down the end, but that's the sort of scale of things in the micro world. So we've got a grub screw in there. Let's pull that out a minute. Now we can put that onto the end of the motor, identify the flat side, so that's the flat side there, and with the shaft right on, that's not a bad shot with the hole really, that's going to fall right onto that flat. Now can I see a burr inside there? I think we're alright, so we should be able to feed that on the end of the shaft so that he bottoms back in with the driver and lock this piece to the end of the shaft. That's nice, that's a nice snug fit. There we are. Right, so we've got this piece locked to the shaft now, and we can, if we put a bit of pressure on this thread, see if we can turn the gears. I can actually rock it backwards and forwards on the backlash of the gears. So, will he turn? I don't want to try and force it because it's forcing those teeth. So, yeah, we'll assume that's on there now, ready to drive. Okay, so we're able now to turn that gearing and the motor itself. So that means this shaft is effectively locked on to the shaft of the motor. Now that we've finished the drilling operation, in this case it's just a case of unscrewing the heat shrink to release them, and then we have the threaded rod or the T6 lead screw undamaged. Now we move on to the next section. Let's just return that grub screw for a minute. Put it back in his home. There we are. Right, so the next phase will be to attach these nuts onto the ends of these. What I've done in the previous rams is to bore these out so that the rod or this tube will sit inside. So he would sit inside there like that, and then glue the rod into the end of this. Now again, this is a tricky thing to do because this is not your conventional drill size. So this is somewhere pretty close to about 6.8, and a 6.5 bore would be too small for this to pass into, and a 7mm bore will give you a sloppy fit. So I'm going to go for a chemical weld rather than anything else. This is I'm not sure what the mixture is, but solder won't stick to it, so soldering is out of the question. I could bore this out to 6.5 and maybe expand it and drop this into it and then let it cool down to grip. I'm not sure at this stage if that's the best way. I think what I'll do is I'll bore the end of this out enough for it to sit in, and then that will give me an area to get the glue into, so that I can glue into position. So that will be the next step, is back onto the lathe now and drill out the end of this. Now that we're back from the lathe, we've bored these out. They're a good fit into there, and there's enough clearance to get some adhesive around the outside. What we've got to do is to be able to hold this square while the glue is setting. It's important to get this square and upright, otherwise the screw thread won't be able to pass through straight. We need to keep all this straight and in a straight line as possible, otherwise it will bind up. It doesn't matter how good your drill bit is or how slowly you actually drill it. Looking on the good side, you'll find that the end of the thread will burr over. So I'll just demonstrate that. That will go in so far and come to a stop. Now you could try and force that through, but I've found in the past that you could actually damage the thread all the way up the screw without clearing it. So the next phase will be to deburr the end of the thread. So I should be using a combination of a fine jeweler's screwdriver. See if I can get it in a bit closer, and I shall chase up the threads, each thread, there's 4 of them, to clear away the burrs, just chipping away at it, so that the lead screw will pass all the way through without any resistance. So be a combination of this small screwdriver and the very, very fine end of the rat tail file. So this is a diamond rat tail file, but I can get in there and gently work around the thread and open it up. So we've got these nuts deburred now, so that the threads will pass through nice and easy, clean. That's good. We're looking at the next phase now. So these have got to end up on the ends, so they will sit nicely in the hole, and I've got enough clearance to get some adhesive in between. But before I get to that stage, I need to plan forward a little bit, so that the whole plan comes together Now looking at these caps have got to go on before I fix these screws on, but we got a slight difference in sizes, so I think the next phase will be these end caps which fit into the end of the ram. They're a push fit, they're a nice push fit in there, but I need to bore these out to 10 millimeters. So just taking a couple of steps back, we know that we can get a 10 mil drill bit inside the ram, but it goes down as far as the connector I can see just by a shadow in there. I don't know whether the camera will actually pick that out, but we're going to be using a 10 millimeter bore to run up inside, and this piece here is slightly under 10 millimeters. So by boring that out to 10 millimeters but leaving the 7 millimeter, I think that's 7 millimeter hole that end, so that the end result is that it will look like that from the outside. I'll just pan up to the other ram, so it will essentially look like that in one piece. So that's what I'm aiming for. So coming back down again, I think what I'll do is I'll mount these in the lathe and bore those out to 10 mil. Then I can use this as a sizing guide for this. So you can see that those two pieces won't quite marry together, but by boring that out to 10 millimeters, that means that should, if this is 10 millimeters, should run up inside it. If it doesn't, it means that I've got to shave this down to 10 mil.